You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back on air with Chris Shanafelt as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class, and I am now joined by Noah Wanzek, the standout wide receiver out of the University of North Dakota. Noah, I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. How's everything going as we are officially 3 weeks away from the start of the NFL Draft?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Everything's going a little crazy right now, obviously, with the coronavirus and stuff, but just trying to keep in shape and, control what I can control.
Absolutely. It's all you can do at this point. Before we can get to your collegiate career, Noah, let's start off by talking about the draft process itself. The big thing for under-the-radar prospects such as yourself is the pro day workout. You mentioned it, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus outbreak. That important workout was canceled, but luckily you did have an opportunity to participate in the BSN Combine, the Beyond Sports Combine, which took place in Indianapolis. It was the same week as the NFL Combine. What was that experience like, and how do you feel about the numbers that you put up there overall?
Yeah, that was definitely a good experience. Like you said, our pro day was canceled, so I was definitely fortunate enough to go to that and get some numbers, because there's a lot of guys, some guys on my team even that, never even really got to go out and, showcase their talents and do the drills. So I was definitely fortunate to do that. The experience was great. Honestly, it was pretty cool to be around other college athletes that are aspiring to play professionally. Just that mentality and that work ethic in that whole facility and throughout those 2 days was pretty cool, and it definitely pushed me, lit that fire in me and definitely helped me pave a way. But yeah, as far as the numbers go and stuff, I was extremely happy with how I did. Like I said, it was just good to get some numbers. I think I tested pretty well. So yeah, I was just really happy I could do it, and it was definitely a blessing.
Well, you definitely tested out pretty well. I got your numbers right here. You measured in at 6'3", 208 pounds. A big thing for wide receivers is hand size. You have 9 3/4 inch hands. You ran a 4.7 40-yard dash, 7.1 3 cone to go with a 38-inch vertical, 9 foot 10-inch broad jump. Again, pretty impressive numbers, no doubt, especially with your height. Being able to log a 38-inch vertical, where were you training at, and how did you prepare for the Combine, Noah?
Yeah, so I've been training in Fargo, North Dakota, ever since January. I was working out at the Sanford Power Center. The Sanford Power Center is pretty prestigious in the area. They've had some pretty good athletes go there. Carson Wentz, obviously the quarterback for the Eagles. He trained there for a while, and they've got a number of people in the NFL and a couple in the CFL. So I was definitely at a great place. They were, they knew what they were talking about. So they definitely prepared me well for all those drills. And I just definitely made strides over those couple months. There were some things I had learned that I never knew, and definitely could figure out my strengths and weaknesses.
Again, we're chatting with 2020 NFL Draft prospect, the wide receiver out of the University of North Dakota, Noah Wanzek. And Noah, how about your journey to the University of North Dakota? What was the recruiting scene like for you coming out of high school, and how did you ultimately land at UND?
Yeah, my recruiting process was a little crazy. So I kind of was a late bloomer. I didn't really get recruited to University of North Dakota until maybe my end of the junior year into senior year. There were a couple of D2 schools and, some NAI stuff like my local college here that wanted me to play. But as far as it goes, between my junior and senior year, I went to an elite camp up at UND and had a really good camp. Honestly, it put me on the radar. I wasn't really on the radar before that, but it was definitely a good thing I went. And then after that, I just kept in contact with coaches, kind of went through the whole process. And then about a week before signing day, they came and watched me play basketball, actually. And right after that, they offered me. So I took it, and, it was history ever since. But it was definitely a kind of a weird recruiting process, a little different than most people.
No doubt, and it's funny because right away you're able to step on campus and play as a freshman. I mean, what were you able to show the coaching staff right away when you stepped on campus where they thought that you could help the team out immediately because you didn't redshirt, you played in all 12 games and started half of them just as a freshman. And again, I mean, you weren't one of these very highly recruited guys coming out of high school. How'd you impress the coaching staff so early on to earn their trust as a freshman?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of interesting with this. I don't think I've fully bloomed yet. I don't think I've reached the pinnacle of my football career. I'm still kind of in that process of getting better, you know what I mean? So as far as it goes in the beginning, I think the thing that benefited me the most is kind of my maturity. I don't think my freshman year of college, I don't think I was physically, ready and capable of reaching my potential that year. But, I studied the playbook hard. I did everything right. I came in, I worked hard, and I just went and made plays in practice and forced the coaches to really have to put me in. So I just, honestly gained their trust. And when it came down to it, I just made plays.
And by the time you were a sophomore, Noah, you were the team's leading wide receiver. As you were your junior season as well, you hauled in a combined 104 receptions for over 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. Those numbers are even more impressive when you factor in that the Fighting Hawks of North Dakota were a run-heavy offense with a fantastic trio of running backs that included John Santiago, Brady Oliveira, and James Johannesson. I mentioned the stats that you put up in 17 and 18, Noah, but how about blocking? I mean, is that a part of the receiver position that you enjoy? Are you any good at it? How would you grade the blocking aspect you bring to the receiver position?
I would say I'm very good at blocking. Being a bigger receiver, I take pride in going out there and, just paving the way for those running backs. It's one thing that at UND, being that we were a run-heavy offense, they said the toughness of the team is determined by the wide receivers. So anytime you got a chance to block, we just put everything into it. So I definitely took pride in blocking, and I would say it's probably one of my strong suits in my game. Blocking is definitely a huge part and something that I love to do.
And this past season as a senior, you reeled in a career-high 74 receptions to go for 996 yards and 4 touchdowns. Quickly, does it bug you at all that you didn't hit that 1,000-yard mark there?
I mean, it sounds a little better when you say 1,000, but I'm not one to get too caught up in stats, so no, not really.
Well, you did have 5 games where you had over 100 yards receiving. That was against Sam Houston State, Idaho State, Weber State, Northern Colorado, and Southern Utah. And just going over your game, obviously the stats are one thing, but I was able to check out some of your highlights, some of the film that you have on the internet there, and it looks like you're really able to see your game grow year after year at UND. The older you got, the more production we saw out of you. What would you attribute the growth from year 1 to year 4 of your game at UND to? And as you said, I mean, you're still growing as a football player, as a receiver. I mean, just how high of a ceiling do you think you have?
Yeah, I would definitely say there's a physical and mental aspect. So, going through UND, we had some great strength coaches, great position coaches. They helped me out immensely. Year to year, I just got way stronger, way faster. Just was better at the footwork and everything. But mentally, I just grew a ton. The game slowed down for me. I could read things much faster, and I was playing at just a much higher speed. And that was different from, each year. But like I said, I think my best football is ahead of me. I didn't redshirt, so honestly, I should be a senior in college this year. Looking forward to a great year. So, like I said, the best football is ahead for me, and I'm just, looking to reach that peak and go reach that potential.
A few more questions for the 2020 NFL Draft prospect, wide receiver out of the University of North Dakota, Noah Wanzek, here on air with Chris Schanfeld. And Noah, when did you realize that you had a legit shot at playing professional football? Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but you've certainly set yourself up in a great situation. When did you decide that you're going to pursue a professional football career?
Well, it's definitely been a dream of mine since I was little. When you're in elementary school and they say, what do you want to do when you get older? I said I wanted to be a professional football player. So it's always been that thing, my dream. But the moment where, I knew I could play at that level and reach that pinnacle of football was probably back in 2017 when we played Utah. We played against some guys that got drafted, some guys that are going to get drafted. We just played against some good players, and I felt like I was able to get open. I was able to run my routes the same that I did against other teams. So I would definitely say that moment kind of helped me realize, like, hey, I can play with these guys, and I have that kind of talent, the kind of hard work ethic and everything, combined.
Absolutely. How about this most memorable play that you've made over the past 4 years? Let's say you're looking back 10, 15 years down the road. What's going to be that first play that pops into your mind?
Oh man, there's a bunch of plays, but I would have to go with the game winner I had against Sam Houston State in 2018. Obviously, everybody loves to catch a game winner, and it's something that you dream about when you're younger. But I think just everything combined in that game made it so spectacular. It was I think it was like 95 degrees. It was just a brutal game outside. Everybody's sweating bullets. So, but yeah, our team just played a complete game. Sam Houston, I think they had like the longest active home winning streak at the time. And they definitely let us hear it. I think before the game, the band was yelling at us and stuff. So, it was just a game we wanted to win so bad, and they were ranked, I think, 4th or 5th in the country. So, we just came together as a team, and, that game and that catch, I'll remember for the rest of my life.
Okay, so you've had experience playing in some extreme hot conditions, such as that game against Sam Houston State. Obviously, being there at North Dakota, I mean, your guys' winters are very tough. I know you guys play in a dome, but even going back to your high school days, I'm sure every game wasn't played in a dome dating back then. Noah, colder games, hotter games, which do you prefer? I'm sure at the end of the day it doesn't matter, but, did that 95-degree heat kind of catch you off guard at all against Sam Houston State?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I grew up in North Dakota, lived here my whole life, so not quite used to it. But I would honestly rather play in the heat. As a receiver, it's harder to catch balls if your hands are cold and everything. But honestly, yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. Both teams have to kind of fight through that. So, nobody really has a step ahead of each other.
Right, absolutely. So for those not familiar with your game, Noah, how would you describe it? What would you say is the biggest strength that you bring to the wide receiver position?
Yeah, I'm a big physical receiver. Like you said, 6'3", about 210. I think for my intangibles, I'm really tough. I love to go out there and work hard, love to block. I'll do the little things. As far as my routes go, I'm very detailed. That's the thing I take pride in. In the NFL and, professional football, you're not going to run by a cornerback or safety. Those guys tend to be pretty fast. So, I just really know how to work my routes, the little things that go into it to get me open. Stems back to, my football days and obviously my basketball days. So, just little things to work to get open. And then the other thing I think is I have a very big catch radius. When the ball's in the air or in the area, I think, I have a good chance of coming down with it. I think if you go back and look at my film, you'll see a lot of plays where I made some big catches and some pretty hard catches. So I would definitely say that kind of describes my game and, kind of shows my strengths.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly earned the trust of your quarterback, and then even earlier, as you mentioned, the blocking aspect. You also add that to the receiver position as well. A very reliable blocker as well as pass catcher, which you need to be to play at the next level, no doubt about it. Who are some current or former pro receivers that you like to watch, Noah? Maybe take bits and pieces of their game and add it onto your own.
Yeah, I would say the first one is Adam Thielen, obviously. I grew up a big Vikings fan, so I've watched probably every game he's played. Grew up probably only an hour and a half from where he grew up, so, I watched him and I learned from him. He's very crafty and skilled at what he does. He's obviously not the most athletic guy out there, but, he's the hardest worker. He's got that competitive drive. So I've really learned a lot from watching him and taking some things away from his game. I really like Michael Thomas, too. I like that he's a big, lengthy receiver. And he just runs really spectacular routes, and he's just makes some big plays. So those two receivers, I would say, are the ones that I try to look after and try to kind of mold my game after.
Yeah, Michael Thomas obviously coming off of one of, if not the best season a receiver has had in NFL history. And then you mentioned Adam Thielen, a former tryout guy from the D2 level, now one of the best receivers in the league. Certainly can't go wrong with either of them. You mentioned you grew up a Vikings fan, Noah. I know you've heard by now they're needing another receiver to play opposite side of Adam Thielen with Stephon Diggs going to Buffalo. Obviously, you'd like to play for any of the 32 NFL teams that give you an opportunity, but hypothetically, put yourself in the purple and gold for a second. Noah, what would that be like to play for the team that you grew up rooting for?
Oh, man, that'd be a dream come true. Obviously, I'll play for whoever wants me, wherever I'm needed, but, the Vikings have always been a team that I've loved, so that would definitely be a dream come true. Actually, when I was younger, I did punt, pass, and kick, and I represented the Vikings. So got to go in the Metrodome on the field, and that kind of, that was spectacular. So I couldn't really imagine playing for him. You know, getting to play in U.S. Bank, that would definitely be a dream come true and something that would be awesome.
And now that that's on record, you'll land in the NFC North playing for one of the other three teams. No, just that's just how it works out.
No, I'd be all right with that too.
But final question, then we'll let you go. Noah, really do appreciate your time. It's a question I finish all of my prospect interviews with, and that is, let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're listening to this very interview. Why should they want the wide receiver out of the University of North Dakota, Noah Wanzek, a part of their team?
Well, I think I would say that I'm a very trustworthy guy. You know, I'm going to work hard. I'll probably know the playbook faster than most people. I just love football, and I love to study the game, and I love to work on my craft. And, you know, it's always been a dream of mine to play professional football. So I just hope that, you know, hopefully I can land somewhere and be wanted by a team and show them that, you know, I can play, and then I got the talent, and then I have the intangibles too.
Absolutely. Noah, congratulations on all the success up to this point. Very successful career there at the University of North Dakota. And then even the past few months, the big combine performance at the BSN Combine in Indianapolis. And now here we are 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. We're really looking forward to seeing where you land and wishing you all the best.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.